Talking about horses, bringing you closer to some of the best horsemen in the world for tips, insights, and stories. Listen at home, at work, in the car, or in the saddle. This is Talking About Horses. Here's your host, Patrick King.
Hey there, gang. Patrick King here, and I want to thank you for tuning in for episode number 49 of Talking About Horses. Today, I'm pleased to be joined by Dr. Gerd Heuschmann. Dr. Heuschmann is well known in dressage circles as an equine biomechanics specialist and veterinarian. He trained as a Bereiter or master rider in Germany before attending veterinary school at Munich University. There, he specialized in equine orthopedics for 2 years before accepting a position as the head of the breeding department in the German FN, which he eventually left to start his own practice in Warendorf. He's been an active member of the hyperflexion or roll cur debate, weighing in at numerous symposiums and workshops around the world, as well as writing several books and creating a DVD. Along with Klaus Balkenhol and other prominent figures in the dressage community, Dr. Heuschmann is a founding member of Xenophon, an organization dedicated to fighting against serious mistakes in equestrian sport. Dr. Heuschmann, thanks so much for joining me once again on Talking About Horses.
Patrick, you're welcome. It's an honor to be on your podcast.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much. That's a humbling thing to hear. Thank you. So let's see. So before we get started with all of this, maybe tell us a little bit more about you, about who is Dr. Gerd Heuschmann. What got you started with riding, that sort of thing?
Well, okay. It can be a long story, so please be aware that you have to cut me down. Well, I started, as most of us, as a little boy. In the age, I think, of 6 years or something, on the neighbor's Shetland ponies, okay. Riding wild. And this wild riding was my style. I think the first 10 years we rode fox hunting, we did crazy things on horseback. And someday an older English gentleman came forward to my mother and said, "What do you think? Shouldn't we cultivate these guys?" Because she had two of us, my brother and me. And then he convinced my mother that we should get riding lessons. He fell in love with us because we were not afraid about anything. Yeah, we just
yes.
Yeah. So this is how I started. And this guy then finally brought me to my Bereiter training in Warendorf, and where I got my professional riding degree. So he opened the doors I could not have had opened on my own. I'm a farmer son from Bavaria. I had no connections. We had horses, and we had a beautiful countryside. That was my my childhood. Yeah, and this was how I got into the horse business, in the professional riding. I wanted to become a veterinarian my life long. So after finishing my professional 3 years of training, I went to Munich to the vet school, and finally working 2 years in the orthopedic department in the vet school, I ended up in the National Federation to bring both together, the veterinarian part and the riding. But I realized that if you work for a bigger organization, you keep your chair warm, but you cannot really change things. I felt lost.
Yeah.
You know, this is, I wanted to move things. And did you try to steer a big oil tanker? I think it takes maybe a few, I don't know how long it takes to make him turn. And I think the German Federation is even a bigger tanker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a big political thing, and I finally decided to go back to the praxis. I joined a vet clinic, equine hospital, became associated, and up to 10 years ago, then I sold my part, and I started this.
Okay.
I started to. I said the last part of my life, I do what I love to do. And I cut my veterinarian part off to this 10 years ago, I did lameness, arthroscopy, orthopedic stuff, osteoarthritis. I did what veterinarians do. And well, there was a moment in my work where I said, okay, I try to fix horses somebody destroys because he is not interested in learning how to ride. Most of the guys, you know, they buy a young horse and they come for a vet check, and they already know which competition they join, they go to. They even don't own the horse, so they don't care about the horse's training. They care about competing, and this is the wrong. I'm not against competition, but this is the wrong idea to get there. And so this was one part for me to say I moved to the other side, and I try to help people to find the correct way to train horses, not knowing that I sort of divide the horse world in two pieces, the good and the bad guys.
Yeah,
It was a mistake. This happened a little bit with my first, the first way I tried to well, I took my sword and I just run, yeah, and this was, maybe this was good to be recognized, but many people hate me because of this, yeah.
Yes.
And
well, you created a wave when you did that, yeah.
This is right, but now I know that most of the people who are on the other side, they are good guys. They don't want to harm their horses. Most of them, yeah. Of course, there might be people who don't care, but most of the people maybe even love their horses, but they don't know how to do it in a different way. And yeah, this is how they think they look cool if they have these super round necks and these horses overbent and overflexed, and they don't understand why they run into trouble. It takes some a stable character and a strong personality to ride in a dressage barn with the horses open top line and the nose in front of the vertical, because you are the exception.
Yeah.
So and whatever. So I jumped into this, and this is what I love to do, and this is what I will do the last few years of my life.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Hopefully, there's a lot more than just a few left, huh?
Okay, let's see.
time shall tell. So take us back here. You talked about going to school, getting the barytra certificate. Now, here in the States, where I'm coming from, anybody can hang out a shingle and be a horse trainer. Anybody who's ever sat on a horse has an opinion, and they're a rider. What does it take to get this barytra certificate, and what kind of standing does that give you?
Yeah, it's good and bad. The positive part is that you finally teach people a minimum of basic knowledge. So let's say this is the knowledge of anatomy, the knowledge of physiology, the knowledge how to manage a barn. So the whole sort of foundation is there. Okay. This is the good part. The negative part is that it's my opinion. It's an opinion. The negative part is that you make people believe they become a trainer in 3 years. Yeah? So you go there, you work on a farm, which is owned or led by a Pferdewirtschaftsmeister, so the highest degree in the professional riding. And what you do is 80-90%, you clean stalls, you pack hay and straw, and you ride 1 or 2 if you're lucky, 2, and if you're not lucky, 2 every week, stiff horses every day or once a week. Okay. So just it depends where you are, but I think there are only very, very, very few places where you ride well-trained horses. So, and suddenly these 3 years pass by, and you finish a test, and you call yourself barytra, and you are a trainer for people and horses. And I don't know if you know one barytra who can produce a soft horse, a supple horse, not a loose horse, not a horse falling apart. I'm not talking about this the other side. I'm talking about a balanced horse in a nice soft contact with a soft swinging back. You sit down and trot, and you feel a soft back which takes you with him, and you're not bouncing and riding a jackhammer. And what I learned in my 60 years now is you are a trainer in 30 years and not in 3 years.
Yeah.
Charles de Kunfi said,
Hundreds of horses.
yeah, better thousands.
Yeah.
This is Charles de Kunfi's quote when he said, lady, she asked him, she wants to learn it, and she asked him how long it would take, and then Charles said, if you can ride a lot, and I'm talking about a few thousand horses, you might learn the basics in 25 years.
Yeah.
And you know this, you're an experienced horseman. You never can, if you're a good horseman, you can never say, now I know everything.
Right.
You will find a horse, you suddenly don't know how to get this guy off your left rein, or he's tilting the paw, or he doesn't feel the same on the left side to the right side. You cannot ride tempo changes softly. You get in trouble when you want to bring the horse back or whatever. Yep. These guys, the horses, show us where we are.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And you only learn it, and I think you learn it to the end of your life, and maybe if you're a good guy in the next life, over years and years and years. There's no quick fix.
Yes. That makes so much sense. It's one of my mentors, Ray Hunt, used to say all the time that, people have opinions, but the horse is the fact.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It takes so long time. Yeah.
So then the Bereiter program sounds, I would say, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it sounds very similar to some of our college equestrian programs then.
Well, it is. It's a little bit different. We have several schools. People come together. We call this the block school for some weeks during their apprenticeship. Get theory. They go to school, to the school where people go, where they have to once a week. They go there for a theory background, and they go to this block school. And the rest of time they spend in the barn, and they ride, and they should ride. They work, and I would say it's good if the end of the 3 years would be, how must I say it, Anwärter. Can I say perspective, Bereiter? So you are waiting for so if you, I would say the right way would be, you let these people pass the 3 years, and then the federation has a list of maybe 100 or 200, I don't know, probably it's only 100 or less, old guys, really experienced guys, sort of mentors. They can choose a mentor, and this person gets a small amount of money every month for this, and he is the backup for this young person. So if you as a young person work in a barn and you make your own business, and you run into a dead-end road, you don't know how to fix this problem, there is a phone number. Call your old mentor. He shows up. He helps you. He visits you once a week. I don't know, somebody who is behind you.
Some sort of follow-up support.
Exactly. If you're 23, 24, and you want to be a perfect trainer already, it takes you at least in less than 1 year to realize it doesn't work.
Right.
You hang on the horse's mouth. You hang on the reins. Either you pull on the reins, or the horses fall in pieces. So the end is always extremism, either this or this, but not classical riding. You need a backup, a follow-up, and this is what I think we should get in the long term. Trainers, younger people.
The whole idea of the mentorship program, or the apprentice, seems to be, almost a thing of the past anymore.
Yeah, well, it's not so bad to create a solid foundation in horse knowledge. From agricultural parts, how to care for the pasture, how to groom a horse, how to care for feet, the basic knowledge about horses. You have to learn it. But then riding is so complex. It's so big. It's such a big thing. Um, it is not, you cannot fix it in 3 years. It's impossible.
Right.
It's only one first step, and you are depending very much who is the guy you learn from. And then the next 10, 15, 20 years, you really become a trainer.
Yeah.
And things like this, that there is an exchange between trainers. I have a few of these guys. I can take my phone and can say, what do you think about this? I had this problem on this horse. How would you deal with this problem? So if you run around like this and I know everything, you're done. Yeah.
Right.
You're done, because nobody knows it. It's you learn every single day. And we have to learn, all of us, that together we're stronger, we learn from each other, we learn together, and it's a never-ending story.
Exactly.
Yeah?
That's so true. Yeah.
These are the points, but I'm sure you know anyhow.
No, it's great. It's great to hear, often, right, to keep us on track, for sure. So we talked, you mentioned in there the kind of the extremes, right? And then in the middle is where you find that classical riding. How would you define classical riding?
Well, you know that this word classical riding is a little bit a bitch. Everybody who sits on a horse, especially if these guys, we live in the Piaf generation, if they have a horse who can do some 10 steps on the spot, they think they are classical riders. If you organize the whole history, you have to realize that there are many horse cultures out there. When you go to your country, I would say this is one of the biggest cultural parts in your country, because the horse was the biggest part, because before you had the train to conquer the whole country, to farm the country, to move, to travel through the country. This country is so big, so the horse and your horsemanship, the way you produced it over the last 300 years, this is part of culture. But there is no one clear riding instruction which is accepted by everybody. As you have it, for example, here, when you look to this Richtlinien für Reiten und Fahren, the guidelines, this rule book number 1, 2 from the federations. Yeah. So this is a riding instruction, at least politically accepted by almost every country and federation on the world who has a competition system. They don't do it. They do different things now. They don't care about it anymore. They don't even probably read it, but they at least say, this is what we do. They say it. So this is the only riding instruction I would call classical, because there's a historical part. You can go back to the 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th century. It is very widely spread and all over accepted. And beside this, we have cultures. The Spanish have no riding instruction. They have a very big cattle work, bullfighting culture. The Portuguese have it. The countries with the gaited horses have a long tradition and culture in breeding and how to train the horses, and so on. So I think we have to be a little bit careful to use this term, because maybe it's because I think it is like this and you think different. But let's say if every cowboy on the planet would accept Tom Doran's book and Bill Doran's book, you could say this is the classical Western riding.
Yeah.
Because this is Spanish vaquero type training, developed in California, influencing the cow and cattle work in America, and it became a sort of style. But they have a big group of followers, But they have people who say, no, we do it differently.
Mm-hmm.
So we have people in Europe, they say we ride dressage, but you have to take the head up. Hands up, head up.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the dressage people, some in Germany, we have some in the Netherlands who say, no, the head has to be down, nose in front of the rib cage, the sternum. And they call themselves classical. Yeah? So it is, I would say, classical is very much based on history. So the historical part and the fact that this system you talk about is proven over hundreds of years and accepted by a big number of people. If it's just a small group of people who care for their own ego and develop their own writing system, we have so many people who think they have their own system. It's not possible. Everything was already there.
Right. Right.
I tried in some, I experienced. You lift your inside hand, the horse starts to chew a little bit, the horse flexes the paw, and so on and so on. Oh, I said, wow, this is cool. And I take the rein from the top into my hand. This is a cool thing. I published this in my book. On a seminar, a lady said, could you please explain a little bit about Litauer rein? I said, what do you mean? Yeah, this rein inside your hand and this higher hand inside. I said, okay, I never heard Litauer rein. I went home, bought his book, and realized the Eastern European guy living in America published a book in the 80s, Mr. Litauer, and he explained the system.
Okay.
Everything was here. There's nothing new. Yeah.
Right.
Other people say California, reining Texas style. Yeah. So in Texas, obviously, some guys have the reins the other way around. So it was there already in America, in Germany, in
Yes.
yeah. I think many people try to come up with new stuff because they did not read the old stuff.
Yeah, the lack of awareness creates novelty, huh?
That's correct. And when you start to read, when you once, and I think everybody who is a serious rider has to read Gustav Steinbrecht Gymnasium of the Horse one day.
Yes.
And when you read this book, you know that this is the Bible. If you want a classical horse, a dressage horse, a jumper, a eventer, a horse with a rib cage up in a soft contact, and not a cutting horse or a bullfighting horse. They have a different balance. Sorry for my dogs are around here.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I think this is what we have to clarify out there more, that there are different balances, different cultures. Many people think when you say, the rib cage has to come up, and then they came from a different clinic and somebody says, no, the rib cage can be down. It is not a question of good and bad. It's a question of tradition, culture, and what type of horse you ride, what you want to do. It is not. The Germans are right with everything. They are not. But because if you have a back mover, a rib cage up, and you want to work a cow, and the horse has a high swing in the back, which we want, you will never get this cow because you have a rope in your arm. You need a comeback.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
So it's the same with the bullfighter. They need a comeback. And so we have different needs, different cultures behind the breeds, and this is what we have to realize. And that not put everything in one pot, and and grab something and mix it somehow.
Yeah. Right.
This is what I see, and many people get lost in this. They want to be a dressage rider and they bend the necks. This is never bend the neck more than you're able to bend the trunk in a classical horse, in a dressage horse. If you bend the neck like a cowboy does it, you will not get the back. It's impossible.
Right.
It's impossible. Yeah. So, and there are some, but I think we will talk about this. You have a very cool theme for the evening. So for my evening, for your day, and I think we come back to this.
Yeah, that's perfect. And listening to you, how you're saying this, and I think it's a great way to say it is or the way that you've presented it is it depends on what you're looking for out of that
Yes,
horse, right? If it's the bullfighting horse, if it's the reining horse or the roping horse, if it's the dressage horse. So, what you would call correct is going to depend, or what you call right for that horse is going to depend on the end goal for that horse. Yeah.
exactly, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I give you one example fitting in this discussion. Once in my life, I met Buck Brenneman. I wanted to
Okay.
meet him. Hopefully, my hope was that I get in contact, but he's not so easy to contact with. Whatever.
Yeah.
So we had a short talk. He sat on a 4-year-old horse and taught his clinic in his system. Many people in the arena, and this 4-year-old horse impressed me. He absolutely calm. He could move every single leg just with his seat. And what I like very much, the horse's mouth, from my standpoint, looked great. So a tiny little bit mobile, not too much, but the correct form. It was perfect. And when I talked to him, I said, "Wow, I like your horse's mouth, this nice chewing mouth." And he said, "Oh, yeah, sorry. It will take another half year, 1 year, then the mouth is calm." And this made me think. I had no time to discuss this. We want the mobile mouth, the chewing mouth, yeah, and he wants the calm mouth. I didn't know this, and what I teach since years. Why do horses chew? This is the muscle activity in the horse's trunk. When you have a loose, a soft, and a supple horse with a nice to sit, soft back, and soft trunk rib cage.
Okay.
When you put your legs on and the horse is not like a wine barrel, but soft on the leg, ready to be bent. This horse will chew with the rhythm of the horse's motion. And a cowboy who has no motion in the back, who sits on a horse in a jog, and the back is just like sitting on a sofa, the mouth is calm. Yeah. So the mouth activity depends very much on how the horse's back trunk moves. And these are things you have to know anatomy. You have to have ridden many horses. You have to bring things together, and then you understand it. Different culture.
Right. Well, that makes so much sense what you say about the mobility in the trunk, inducing the mobilization there of the jaw, because so many of those muscles will go in and directly connect to the tongue. Yeah.
Exactly. All resistance, all problems we deal with, everything, all contact problems, everything is hidden in the trunk. The trunk is our problem. If you have the horse's back, and because of this, the abdominals, the pectoralis system, you have the contact, you have the pole, you have the haunches. If the back is locked, the back got lost downwards, you are in trouble. The horse runs, curls in behind the bit, stiff against the hand, hanging on one rein, the other rein loose, not an even contact, crookedness, yeah. And all this, all the solutions for this, you find in the classical system, yeah. Steinbrecht Gymnasium of the Horse. Out of this, 27 years later, HDB12, Heeresdienstverordnung. You have this book translated. This was the military rule book from 1912, a tiny little booklet. They brought everything into it. So they clarify how to straighten a horse. Today, people try to get symmetry in horses by working on the horses. Yeah? The French are number one. Yeah? They bend around and they pull and they kick and first you straighten a baby horse by going straight. Yeah.
Yes.
Don't bend in the first year. Quote classical riding. A cowboy bends the horse's neck in the first day.
Yes.
Most of them. Buck Brenneman did it before he jumped on the horse. Today the girls bend their necks around and let them go lateral. The old classical guys in the cavalry schools, they would have killed you. A young horse goes straight on wide lines, avoid corners, stay away from any. First, let him find his balance on a straight line. You in your country, you have the possibility because you have the room. Yeah, we in our
Yeah, right, right.
tiny Germany, we sometimes some people in the cities they cannot really train a baby horse because they don't have enough
Mm.
room.
Sure, there's not the room to do it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Be in another country.
you take a baby and then you go
Hmm.
cross country outside, short stirrup, get out of his back, give him his neck, let him go, and offer him a soft contact until he will take it on a straightforward line. This is how they did it. And then when the horse drew up the neck and the back comes to you, and the horse starts to seek for the contact on both reins the same, time has come to bend. And people want to do the wrong bend to get rid of the uneven contact.
Okay, sure.
This is the wrong way. I did it 20 years long. I know exactly the wrong stuff too. Yeah, you cannot get a horse off the heavy rein by pulling on this rein. You have to make the horse go, so that it takes both reins. They say ride to the loose, give on the heavy, and 90% of the people I know pull on the heavy, and the loose
Yeah.
becomes looser.
Hmm.
So
Mhm.
there are differences. You cannot just mix it. You have to make a decision. Do you want to ride classically, or do you want to be a person who works a horse for cattle work? Then you ride in the impulse system, a loose rein,
Hmm.
soft impulse, loose, soft impulse, loose, and then you can bend the neck, no problem. The back is down anyhow because you need a deep center of gravity. You don't want the swing, you want the calm back. You don't want suspension, you want a jog-like trot, a flat
Hmm.
trot. You want a lope. Yeah, you don't want a high jump. So this is a completely different world. And the cowboys, they mix everything. They When I hear about all these disciplines they have, when they came up with Western dressage, I asked what's his name? I forgot his name. The guy who came up with it.
Oh, Aton.
And there was one from the federation.
Oh,
Um,
very
uh,
sorry.
I tell you, he was he was in Athens with the dressage team. I met him here in Germany.
Oh, okay.
Cool. So I went and asked him, "Do you want a dressage horse or a Western horse?" He looked at me and said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Do you want the back down, working balance, rib cage sinking between the shoulder blades, or you want the rib cage up and you want a high swing, you want a back mover, the old European classical horse?"
Mhm.
This because you talk about dressage. If you use the term dressage, you want a back mover. If you talk about a Western horse, working cows, you want the back down because you want him to be quick and deep center of gravity, like a bullfighter.
Right.
The bull is coming, they need to be quick and mobile. If you have a horse with a high center of gravity, the bull is coming, this horse is too slow.
Hmm.
Yeah. So completely different cultures, but nobody talks about it. Everybody puts everything in Western dressage and they mess it around and nobody
Mix it
knows
up and see
what do
comes
you
out.
want. Yeah. And this is what I criticize a little bit, that our federations don't care about this. They don't help people to find their way in this jungle of cultures.
Hmm.
50 years ago, you were not born probably, but when I was a young guy, we had the warm blood, some ponies, and the draft horses and the haftlingers. So we had our riding culture. Today we have the quarter horses, we have the PRAs, we have the Lusitanos, we have the horses from all over the world, and every breed brings the culture, and you end up with big a big mess.
A big collection. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, people don't really know what they want, and I think the federations should help to clarify, to find the correct way, but they are caught in this show business, which is no classical riding anyhow.
Hmm. Hmm.
In 99%, 95%, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the biggest problem I have, at least, that people have to learn what they want.
Hmm. Sure, sure. So we talked. You mentioned the word collection, And that's a word that I hear get really misunderstood quite a bit.
Yeah.
How would you define collection in a horse?
Okay, number one, when you look to the competition world, this is extinct the right word?
Extinct?
Extinct, yeah. It doesn't exist anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
So almost 100%. If you ask me, show me a collected horse in our top dressage sport, I don't really know. And so what collection is the last word in our training scale.
Yes.
And before it, this term I use now, which is throughness, the German word is Durchlässigkeit. This is not directly mentioned in the training scale, but it's sort of beside it. Yeah. The collected horse is willing to give in the haunches, in the big joints of the hind legs, which is, it starts in the lumbosacral. It goes to the hip joint, to stifle, to hock, and down to the fetlocks and P1, P2, P3. So through the whole leg, and the horse is willing to give in the weight bearing phase in the moment the rider closes one or two hands. Yeah. So as soon as you close your hands, the horse shortens in front, and in the same moment the horse shortens behind and sits behind. So it comes down. And this is collection. So the horse takes weight with the hind legs. And we have this sad fact that we have some scientific people in your country who went to World Cup final and came up and said, no, in the Piaffe, the horses don't take more weight on the hind legs. It's not true. So they looked and they said the World Cup final is what they put 100%. And when I met her,
they're measuring.
Yes, to measure and to stride length and all this, yeah, and angles. And when I met Hillary, I said, no, this is not 100%. This is minus 100%. It is the worst because this is only leg movers and stiff horses. This is a group of abused horses to a very high percentage. Very high percentage. Not all of them, but most of them. And they are pulled together. Hold in front, push behind. You cannot get a collected horse like this. Yeah. Show me a horse who's really sitting in the haunches softly, not forced. The famous black horse was forced to sit and forced to drag the legs up. This was also not a Piaffe. It looked like a Piaffe, but it was not a Piaffe. Yeah. The horse was sitting down and pulling the legs up. Usually the horse should put the foot on the ground and sink in and come up again. You compress the spring and allow it to, how must I say, extend again. So whatever. And there's only one way, and Steinbrecht is the guy who explains this the clearest. There's only one way to get there, and this is the bending, the correct bend in the ribs, in the trunk. And there are people out there now today who say this is not possible. You cannot bend the horse's trunk. Yeah, you can. Yeah, of course you can. Read Steinbrecht. He writes 126 pages about bending, and it takes an experienced rider 5, 6, 7 years to get the maximum bend in a horse, and which finally leads to the high school collection. Today, people think when the horse does a little bit stress on the spot, this is collection. Most do it as a trick. Yeah, they start in a 4-year-old or in a 5-year-old, and they teach them to lift the legs. But Piaffe is something you get. You don't make it.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, you get the Piaffe. When the horse is forward, absolutely forward in front of your driving legs, and the horse is absolutely through. there's a wonderful uh, explanation in Podhajski, Alois Podhajski, Vienna Riding School. He was the boss in the Vienna Riding School to 1965. Alois Podhajski wrote in his book, he says, if you want to work, start with piaffe work. Your horse has to be 100% balanced. So the neck in the right place, willing to stretch, willing to come up, willing to bend right and left, be straight and willing to bend. Number two, 100% in front of the driving leg. Yeah. Number three, the highest level possible of throughness. Extended canter, close your hands, inhale, grow, walk. No resistance in the back, in the ball, on your seat. Yeah. And so the highest level. And if you put these three sentences, Podhajski points out, I would say we wouldn't have 500,000 piaffing horses on the world. We would have maybe 5. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Because there's a lot missing in there. Yeah.
Yeah. People want. My next book will there will be a chapter in it. Piaffe generation. They cannot do rising trot, but they piaffe. This is they don't want to learn to ride. They want to piaffe. Yeah. I don't want to piaffe on a horse who is not ready for soft transitions, who is not soft and not easy to sit, and who is not really trained correctly. You don't want to drive a Formula One car when you have your driver license 1 week only.
Right.
Or whatever. I don't know a different explanation, but first learn to ride.
Yes.
Piaffe is what you get when the horse is absolutely through. And you can make a horse piaffe when you are really, really, really experienced and you have so many thousands of hours of riding in your butt. And you're a sensitive person and your brain is on. And this is something at the end of today. It's rent horses, and it's worth nothing. It's 100 years ago it was something. Today it's nothing. Yeah. It's a trick.
So we talk about this collection. We talk about the sitting, starting with the lumbosacral joint and all of those joints absorbing and then expressing the movement and lifting the horse and the suppleness through the trunk and that sort of thing. As being, the weight, the haunches carrying then more weight.
How to get there?
Yeah, how to get there? How do we get that? How do we accomplish that?
Okay. So this is my little booklet, A Collection of Contortion is the English title. The German title is Lateral Flexion and Bending. Trafalgar wanted a more dramatic title. The correct understanding of bending is the way. So this is the answer. Let me go into this a little bit. Okay, can you see my arms? My two hands are the shoulder blades. The horse's rib cage is hanging in a muscular sling in between the two shoulder blades. A horse, if there is a muscular support, the rib cage can sink. We talk about this. In our world, we call it a leg mover, but knowing that a bullfighter or a cutting horse needs to be down, but then they have a loose rein. But if you want to ride in a contact, classically, and the back is down, you have a leg mover. Yeah, so this is something you don't want to have. This horse is like this, as if you hollow your back, with a backpack in your back, with stones in it, bouncing into your back. So, so this horse, a horse like this, and every horse who's produced from the contact backwards is a leg mover, back down, especially when the neck is up. These horses cannot be bent in the trunk. So when your horse is up, what we call is imbalance. Rib cage up, the neck fell into about withers level into the natural It's the only arm of a lever. So this nuchal ligament is hanging on the spinous processes of the withers. The supraspinous ligament keeps the back in balance. So in this balance allows the energy of the hind leg go through the back and you get a contact. And now on both reins the same.
Okay.
No loose rein, no heavy rein. Neck falls, horse takes the bit, the horse raises the back opens up, and the horse starts to work what we call over the back. Yeah, nose in front of the vertical, horse to the bit. So if you have this, in the old days, it took about a year. Maybe with the modern horses, you could get it earlier. So as soon as the neck fell, the horse takes the bit, the horse is rhythm, suppleness, contact, the horse is in a good contact. Usually plus minus a year, we start to bend. So the bending, the first bending is when you have contact on both reins and you take this horse to a bent line, to a circle. What can you do different? If a curling horse hanging on one rein, the other rein loose, let's say your horse is stiff to the left, hanging on the left rein, you ride on the left circle. So what happens? The horse is on the inside rein, the outside rein is loose, and you cannot make him take this rein. So if you follow the classical system and you stay on wide open lines and open fields, you avoid corners, a young horse falls out of balance immediately if you ride into a corner. Now they need open lines. So then if you have contact on both reins with a long neck and you go to a circle, Waldemar Sonich describes this, when was the book written? Okay. You can follow outside. You have a contact on both reins. So the first bend is stretching the outside. You have the leading outside rein, still the leading rein, but you allow the horse to adjust to the circle by stretching outside. And most people make the big mistake that they work inside to bend the horse. You understand? And what you get is, if you want to make this bend, the horse resists.
Yes.
And he contracts the outside more. If you give outside, the horse is able to stretch the outside, and you get and then your inside leg soft. He says, you did this very well. Come on, good, son. And your outside hand gives a little bit, your inside leg asks, and suddenly your horse starts to accept this inside leg as a bending leg. And this is what Sonich calls bending second grade or direct bend. The first is the indirect bend or bending first grade. So, and then this process of bending, Steinbrecht has the simplest training scale. Only 3 steps. Step 1, rhythmic forward to get contact on both reins. 1. 2, bending on one track. So this is the circle, these are the waltz, this is the serpentine, and all these different lines. So the horse, and of course the last point, bending on 2 tracks, lateral movements. Today people think when a horse runs lateral, this is a lateral movement.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. He's just running sideways.
When you watch the Grand Prix, they ride leg yield with a bent neck. Yeah. They don't ride half pass. There's no half pass. Half pass is not a passage tense step with a bent neck. It's a collecting exercise. It's these lateral movements in the classical system are developed very, very carefully. They develop this. They talk about first position, second position, shoulder fore, shoulder in. So this is a process over years. Yeah. Today they take a 4-year-old, they do leg yield, and when the horse is 5, they call the leg yield shoulder in. They do the same thing. They don't even know what the difference is between leg yield and shoulder in. And Steinbrecht clarifies with his term, bending on 2 tracks. A lateral movement is very much depending on the bend in the ribs. And now let me explain a little bit about the key things in the bend so that you understand why this is leading to collection.
Okay. Yes.
When you look to a horse's spine from the top, let's say you are a bird in the arena, sit on the beam, you look down. So then, hi Willie, come here. So this is Willie. When you look, you look down to a horse's spine. So then you know the cervical spine is very much bendable, but the horse's trunk from the withers to the sacrum is only very little bendable.
Yes.
Very, very little. If some say 4 degrees, some say 7. So only very little bending possible. Okay. So then you, as a skilled rider, experienced rider would say, I read Mr. Museller's books, and he put a little circle in his book. Beside this circle, you could read 6-meter vault. And he was drawing a horse on this 6-meter vault from the pole to the sacrum, completely attached to the 6-meter vault. But what I tell you now is that this is not possible.
Right.
So who is lying? Where's the problem? And this was my conflict at the beginning. I said, how is this possible? How can I ride a 6-meter vault correctly? The outside hind leg following the outside front leg, the hind leg not, the haunch is not swinging out, and the horse attached to the 6-meter vault. This solution, Steinbrecht. He is so interesting, this guy. He says, if the horse starts to bend correctly, the horse gives you, I try to translate the German more or less word by word. The horse gives your seat a very dedicated, slightly tendency deeper inside. So the horse puts your seat deeper inside. Why? How can a horse make you sit deeper inside? Trunk rotation.
Yes.
The rib cage rotates. So now start. We look to the front legs. My hands are the shoulder blades.
Okay.
Rib cage in between. When the rib cage is down and the muscular sling, rib cage, shoulder blades is elongated. The shoulder blades are sort of clamping to the ribs, and the horse trot like this. There is no rotation possible. When the rib cage is up, the shoulder sling is loose. The rib cage, the shoulders are open. You feel, and as an experienced rider, you feel the horses feel like an apple. They feel your seat. A wrongly trained horse feels like a pear, narrow on the top, wide below. Yeah, most of the dressage horses feel like this. You feel narrow here. When you let your legs hang down, they feel wide far down. Beside your ankle, you have the widest part. So you want an apple. So this horse is able to rotate the rib cage in between the shoulder blades. Okay. So, and if your leg can create this rotation, the spine is a very precise instrument. When the thoracic spine rotates, the lumbar spine rotates, the pelvis sinks inside. And if you keep the bend on your inside leg and with your seat, and the horse puts the inside leg forward, and the leg comes back into the vertical position, the haunches have to give in because the pelvis is deeper inside.
Okay.
The butt cannot come up. The correct bend has 2 parts. A very small amount of, I call it effective bend, very little, 4 to 7 degrees, and element 2, trunk rotation. And the more you sit deeper inside, and the outside of the horse is still in line from the horse's mouth to the hip. As soon as you have a kink in the front of the shoulder, the neck is bent more, the horse goes over the outside shoulder, and the haunches come in, false travers. Yeah, so we need a straight horse first. You only can bend the horse when the horse is straight first. This is not straightness number 5 in the training scale. It's a little bit misunderstanding because this straightness means ready to be bent to both sides. This horse is absolutely straight. But first you have to create a straight horse, which is physically straight, like a ruler in school, or like a
Okay. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and contact even. If you loosen the neck up in front, yeah, every old master warns you from this. Bending here, bending here, you will never collect your horse.
Mm-hmm.
Never. You only
I like
will
the way
ride
you said
fast
that
and
the
slow.
straight horse is ready to be bent.
Sorry?
I like the way that you said that the straight horse is ready to be bent.
They start to do the collecting work in the second year of training.
Hmm.
It is, you can say, the work towards collection goes parallel with the bending. The more you bend, in the end, in Steinbeck's book, at the end you read, if you have the maximum bend possible in a horse's trunk, you are in high school collection.
Okay.
Yeah, and you have the highest collection possible, and it's the easiest to flex the haunches on the inside of the bent side first left,
Okay.
right, and the most difficult then is when the horse is soft on both sides, to close both hands and flex both haunches.
Yeah.
Huh?
Okay. Yeah.
Today we ride a full halt in a first level dressage, and when you read Seeger, he was Steinbeck's teacher in Berlin. He says, if your horse can perform a correct full halt, your horse is ready for high school.
Oh.
So when you close both hands and the horse sits behind and flexes both haunches, the horse is ready for high school, Piaffe Passage, yeah, and so on. And so this and this process of bending a horse, this slow process over years and years, which is many tempo changes, many medium trots and working trots, many circles, many vaults, many serpentines, neck down and forward, bring it back again. So this softening and stretching and getting all this muscle strong and soft, this takes years. You cannot just hold in front, push behind, and say, now I have Piaffe. Okay, some judges give you a mark for this, but they should not. They should ring the bell. Yeah.
Right.
They should ring the bell in about 50% of the cases today.
Okay. So we talk about the straightness and the looseness. Would you call those prerequisites for correct flexion, correct bend?
Say it again, please.
We talk about the straightness and we talk about the looseness, the suppleness. Are those the things that you would call prerequisites for the correct bend and flexion?
Exactly. You can. This is what I do mostly in my job, wherever I go, and there's no difference if these people are successful Grand Prix riders or happy hackers. We work on the basics. Yeah, and we want to have a rhythmic horse. The best comparison I found in my life is ballroom dancing. If you have a person who has good feel for rhythm, let's say every horse is a song. So especially in the classical word, the trot. Yeah, the cowboy wants walk and canter. We want the trot. The trot is our most important gait. So every horse's trot is a certain song with a certain rhythm. So that the guy who is the leader in the ballroom dancing has feel for the music. So he can guide you into this song's rhythm. And he offers you a perfect contact. He is not pulling on you. He is not like this. He gives you a safe contact. The lady, usually most times the lady takes this contact and says, oh, I feel good. This is a respectful contact. This contact respects the other person. So he would not pull on her, but he is on the other side, he's safe. And then she says, okay, this is a contact I take. She takes the contact, and this contact unifies the two, and they start to swing. You get harmony, and this suppleness has an element of swing. suspension, the harmonious swing. If you take this contact away, Vienna Vault, take the contact away, the two bodies are not connected anymore. You can step in front of each other, but they are not connected. There's no swing anymore. They can be loose, but not supple.
Okay.
The element of swing is not there. This is why a horse who is ridden bitless with a loose rope has no swing. You cannot get the real. This is a very nice exercise to teach a horse trust, and it's okay to do this, yeah. But if you want the classical horse, you need the contact, and you need the contact to the bit, because we need the TMJ. There's another 3-hour presentation about the TMJ. This is a great joint. This is wow. This joint is incredible. Yeah. If you have the paw and the TMJ, this is just wow. Okay. And the contact is the key thing. The contact is not there to give the horse an artificial frame. Richard Wertjen, your former German guy, a former American team coach after the Second World War, he says, never flex a horse's paw with your hands. The older I grow, the more I know he's right. Not even with 10 grams. Your leg does it. Yeah, your hand is there. Your hand says, oh, yes, I feel there's a little resistance in your paw. I feel this. But don't be afraid. I don't attack this resistance. I respect it. My hand is there. Would you accept it? The horse says, I like it. Yeah, Steinbrecht, to quote Steinbrecht, he says the horse has to fall in love with your hand. So you have a wonderful soft feel. The horse is a little bit stiff. Then your hand says, hey, leg, did you hear this? And your leg is coming. And the horse says, oh. Your hand gives. The leg overcomes the resistance. When you once have this in your repertoire, the French says, it's great. You never ride a stiff horse anymore. All resistance is clarified with your legs. Yeah, and the contact. This is one of the challenges I have in my life to teach. It's one of the most difficult things to teach a good hand. I almost gave up on this. I said, how can I teach people a good hand? I knew on my own life that I pull on so many horses. And then there's this phase, this black and white phase. You pull a little bit so that the horse is round. And then you know, it's too hard, loose, white, black, white, black, white. This is a horror for a horse. Yeah, a good contact is a shiny gray. And there might be a moment you close your hand a little bit more and the gray is a little darker. But in the same moment you do this and the gray is darker, your leg is on. Your lower leg is on. Big difference to the bullfighters, the cowboys. Leg is on, like a hug.
A hug, okay.
Never off. Yeah, it's on. It's always there. And your leg, I love this term. The first little work towards bending, our theme of the night, of the day. I like very much Kurt Albrecht, Vienna Riding School. He was the boss in the Vienna Riding School up to 1986. He came up with a term. He says, don't do legio so much. I give you the German quote because in German it's a sort of mach kein Schenkelweichen, mach das Pferd weich am Schenkel. Schenkelweichen, weich machen. Don't do leg yield. Make the horse soft on your leg. Yeah. So
okay.
Don't let the horse step away from your leg. Of course, they have to learn to step away if you want it. They have to do it. But as soon as they know how to do it, because if you overdo it, you create a horse which is always away behind. They don't stay under you. Yeah, they have to stay between your legs. You want the hind legs under. So, and if you overdo this lateral stuff, you have a horse. You put your leg on, he's here. Put this leg on, he's here.
He goes away. You lose him.
You lose them.
Yeah.
And you will never get these horses in front of your legs to the bit. So this is why in the Spanish riding school they didn't allow the leg yield. The leg yield has a very tiny meaning in the baby training to teach the leg a little bit. And it has a little bit more meaning in the remedial work, in this very stiff, destroyed horses we usually work with.
Okay.
In this world, you need it as a door opener. But then the process to soften the horse on your leg is the key. In the classical literature, you have for this process 4 different terms. The cavalry school in Hanover, they said, soften the horse in the ribs. Kurt Albrecht said, soften the horse on your leg. Herr von Redwitz, another cavalry master, Second World War, he said, work your horse into the plie. And Steinbrecht says, bending on one track. They all mean the same. When the horse starts to give in on your inside leg, like you behave like a massage therapist. You have a soft leg, sometimes a little harder, hard in sense of more pressure, but still soft, a little less. There's a moment you hold a piece of paper, or you hug a person you are in love with since 30 years, your mom, and then you hug this horse as if you are in love 3 days, a little harder. So there is a wide range of a process of massaging, and the horses start to give in on the legs. And the first you feel is they mobilize the mouth. Never clamp, never squeeze, never lock. It's always a hug, a soft thing. The first is paw flexion, mouth. The second is suddenly you see the inside eye, you get a lateral flexion, and you get the flipping in the crest when the neck is long enough, and you get this tiny first little rotation, the lateral flex, and the crest flips. This is the sign. We call it lateral flexion in the paw, but to be honest, from the biomechanical standpoint, this is the first step of bending. And then, because this is when the spine rotates, a little bit, the crest flips, and you see the paw flexion. And this is the door opener to the inside hind leg. And if you don't have this softening on the inside leg, you will never collect in the classical sense. So
softening. So when you're talking about softening on the inside leg, it's the horse's leg softening through those joints. Yeah.
Yes. Well, it is first. It is really, you feel a softer rib cage wall. It's soft. You feel it. It's not just a saying. You feel the horse softer on your leg, and of course, biomechanically, as the horse opens up this wall and lets you come in with your leg, you can create this trunk rotation, and the horse gives in the haunches on the same side. But you only get it step by step. You have to start on one track, and then you ask 6 months later, you ask for a tiny little lateral movement. You just pick up this inside hind leg, maybe 1.5 to 2 inches, a little bit inside, and ask for first position. Then you close your outside leg a little bit, you close your outside hind leg a little bit up, and your inside leg are on line, second position, and then you go to the shoulder 4. The inside hind leg comes in maybe 1 hoof. And so you increase. The bigger the angle is, and the bigger the bend in the ribs is, the higher the collecting effect is. I rode my first shoulder in 12 years ago, and I rode thousands of horses lateral. When you feel it once, you know what shoulder in is. Because if you trot in a nice shorter working trot, or start a little bit shorter trot, and you go into a shoulder in, and the trot is not really changing, it is usually just more or less a leg yield. If you ride a correct shoulder in the moment you bend, the horse gives in on the inside leg, you fly. The horse, the whole body is like soft from the hind leg, not from a stiff back. Today they create the passage steps out of a locked back. No, the correct swing is from the haunches. In the stance phase, the horse gives in and swings out.
Mhm.
And in shoulder in, this should happen. The inside hind leg should sink. And when the horse steps off, pushes off, you get the spring was compressed, you get more suspension. This is the proof. And the mouth is soft and dewy. Never lock a horse's mouth. Yeah, no need to tell you, but most dressage people crank the horses in. If they cannot move the lower jaw, you get nothing. You don't get the mouth, you don't get the paw, you don't get the back, you don't get the hind legs, you get nothing.
You've trapped the whole body when you trap that.
You lock up the whole horse. You ride a stiff slave. Yeah. If you lock the mouth, the lower jaw has to be free. This old system, 2 fingers upright on the nose is right, not 2 fingers beside each other. Upright.
Side by side, yeah, exactly. Well, and so many of those, you would be lucky to squeeze 2 fingers in the tissue of the cheek, let alone on the top of the nose.
Yeah. This is, you know. Do you know why we have nose bands? Well, this is. It's interesting. A cowboy, a German cowboy, Pete Greinberg, a good friend of mine, told me one day. He found literature. It's interesting. In the Middle Ages, when the knights had the heavy draft horses and the armor, so everything was heavy. And they were galloping and attacking whatever. And suddenly the cannonballs would fly around. They had curb bits with shanks like this on these horses. They would stop. They destroy the horse's TMJ.
Ah, yes.
They lost the horses, and to protect the TMJ for the emergency brake, they invented the nose bands.
Yeah.
And in Germany we only have very little shooting in the indoor arenas. You a little bit more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I almost can't remember the last time I was shot at by a cannon riding a dressage test.
But buy some guns, maybe. Right. Yeah, maybe somebody shot some people in the indoor arena. Well, whatever. But you know, the correct contact wouldn't need any nose band because the masseter muscle would communicate with your soft hand. But of course, it's no problem to have a nose band on it as long as everything is loose.
Yes.
Right. And the ladies need room to put the Swarovski stone somewhere. So
absolutely, you've got to bling it up.
Yes, exactly. And you can make. I always say you can make your horse look like a Christmas tree. I don't care as long as it is loose.
That's a great way to say it. I love it.
Yes. Yeah, I don't care. And the horse doesn't care. If the ladies feel good because their horses are beautiful, they are better riders. Yeah, it's emotion. I don't like all these stones, but if they like it, it's okay. But loose.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
perfect. Good. So we talk about the collection work, and we talk about this other stuff that we could say is not collection, right?
Yeah.
Can we come into a breakdown? When we're looking at the horse in the arena?
Yeah.
What are we looking at that would say this horse is not collected?
Well, first of all, you can see that a horse who is sent through different tempi. Let's say you watch a dressage and this horse shows you a diagonal extended trot, and then another diagonal medium trot, and then at C or at A, wherever, collected trot. And the horse's frame, the horse's group, and the whole outline stays the same all the time. Only the front legs flip higher or less.
Okay.
Then you know this is not a classical horse. When you see a horse in an extended trot, you should see that the neck comes deeper, the nose goes forward. So the cervical spine goes down because the pelvis comes more horizontal, the hind legs push. So at the end of the diagonal, the horse collects. The pelvis comes deeper.
Okay.
The pelvis, ilium, and the cervical spine, they're connected by the big, strong longissimus dorsi. So when the pelvis comes down, the neck comes up. Relative rising of the forehand. The neck comes up relatively to the pelvis angle. They go together.
Okay.
Extension, collection.
Okay.
They always go together. So if the trunk from the sternum, the shoulder joint, and the seat bones has the same length, the same attitude, the same frame, only the neck goes a little bit like this, you have a horse out of balance. Yeah.
Okay.
And if you watch dressage today, they stay the same all the time. Charles de Kunfi calls it cockroach dressage because they have a sort of armor, the same, the cockroach looks the same all the time.
Yes.
Just run faster or slower.
Yes. A good picture to have in mind. Yeah.
Yes, and it's from Charles. It's not mine, but I love it too. And he's a cool guy.
Yes.
And Charles explains this since years. Yeah, that the classical dressage means that the horse is able to lengthen strides. Extended trot should not. The mark should not be given for the expression of the front leg. The mark should be given. The qualification should be the length of the hind leg's stride and how much the hind leg steps over. In an extended trot, you should have overstride like this.
Yeah.
3 feet, 2 minimum. And in collected trot, the horse should be close to the footprint of the front foot. And in working trot, it should be minimum inside, maybe 1 hoof in front. And then the hind leg has to step forward. This is what we are interested in the classical dressage. And we play with the stride length and not with the show.
Yes. Well, and that makes sense because when we're talking a bit, again about the collection work and about the horse in that carriage under the rider, that hind leg has to reach underneath the rider in order to carry
center of gravity. Exactly. And the way to get there is many tempo changes. Yeah, many tempo changes. Medium trot, working trot, medium trot, shorter working trot, bend lines, the bending, the softening in the ribs, and respecting the horse's spine. In the classical system, maybe this is a good final clarification that in the classical riding, from the paw to the tail, the spine is bent always in one. There is never a kink.
Okay.
And the higher level you are, a 1/4 inch of false bend. Yeah. So what the horse offers you on the hollowed side, this fake bend, what an unexperienced rider thinks is bent. A 1/4 inch is too much. Steinbrecht only gives us one sentence. He says, don't allow the false bend. You need a straight horse first. And when we start to bend, it's the process of stretching the outside and softening on the inside leg. And if you felt this a few times, you don't want to miss it anymore because this creates so wonderful horses. So nice contact. Good horses who are good to sit. Everything is just great.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a feeling you can't forget once you have it. Yeah.
Oh, wow. We talk already 1.5 hours, huh?
We're good, huh? We're good.
Yeah.
We are very good. So I want to take a little side trail here, if I may. I want to talk about several different things, but where we're talking right there, when you feel that lift, when you feel that softness come through, when you feel that change in the lifting of the horse's back, and how many riders have never actually felt that. I'm brought to mind the challenge of saddle fitting. And I feel like this could probably be a whole discussion in itself, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's something that's often overlooked is how the saddle is actually hindering that lifting of the thoracic sling, that engagement of the trapezius muscle specifically, it seems so much, and that the ability of the horse to move.
Absolutely. And my opinion to this is saddle fitting on one side is very simple because you have one or maybe a little bit more than one handful of points you have to really care for. And on the other hand, it's so difficult, as you can see, because so many saddles do not fit.
Yes.
you must, and the tricky part is, in my eyes, I'm not a saddle fitter, but I know a lot, and Jochen Schlese was one of the first who really thought about all this. You must give your saddle some support, some connection to the horse, and usually we use the gullet. But this gullet, on one hand, should give the horse, the saddle some stability, connect and stabilize the tree, but never should hinder the horse's natural gaits. As you know, when a horse moves, shoulder blade moves forward and backwards. Jochen came up with the number of 4 inches in some horses, shoulder blade movement. So if the gullet is too narrow, the shoulder blade knocks against it. I know some horses, they have chondromas, they get like things like a fist, a cartilage is growing because of the shoulder blade is hitting this gullet all the time. So the gullet must be adjusted in a way that the shoulder blade can glide under it. Number one. So the angle has to be adjusted and the width has to fit. Most saddle fitters just think about the angle. They take the gullet as it is. And if a horse is wider, you need a wider gullet to adjust the angle. Yeah. Good. And number 2, behind, never sit in the line. In a Western saddle, who is in the line is adjusted to horses who don't move the back. There is almost no back movement in a quarter horse. But as soon as you know all this bucking colts in the Western world, when they are downhill built and they have maybe they are appendix, they have half thoroughbred, they have a little bit suspension, and you and the Western saddle is digging into the loin, they buck. Take the saddle out of the loin, and they don't buck. And this is, and our horses, if the saddle is too long, the transfer spines of the lumbar vertebrae are not flexible. The ribs are flexible. So if you compress the longissimus dorsi on the transfer spines of the lumbar vertebrae, the horse says, locks the back, and you're done. So this is one of the key points. Loin area, stay away from never go behind the last rib, and give your horse enough room for the shoulders. And the rest is a free channel. Never interfere with the spinous processes. Spinous processes do this movement, so they need some room and a nice good padding, so that the saddle is not bridging but is not rolling. So it's 5, 6, 7 points, and then but it's so hard to do it correctly. This is the problem.
Yes. Well, and the body is so dynamic within the movement, right? If there's proper movement, anyway, the body is rather dynamic. We talk about that thoracic sling dropping, the rib cage dropping versus the rib cage lifting. The top, the top profile of that back changes quite a bit.
And both saddles are adjusted to leg movers, and a saddle fitter has a hard time. Yeah, he has to adjust the saddle to the horse how it is. But if the back comes up under a good rider, the back line is changing. You have, in a leg mover, you have a deeper curve. When the back is up, you have a less curve. It straightens because this arc between cervical spine and thoracic spine comes up, opens up. So the curve is flatter.
It's flatter, yeah.
So but of course this is an important thing. But I think on the other side, we have quite a few people meanwhile who know how to adjust the saddle. They still make mistakes, and as I make mistakes, and everybody makes mistakes, but I think we are quite good meanwhile. But the good ones cost money. This is a problem. And many people don't want to give so much money. So this is, but don't keep your money in this point. I think it's a wrong part to save money. Good saddle is important.
Yes. So the negative effects of the incorrect training or riding, the problem with this false collection, what your book in English, the collection or contortion. What are some of the effects of the contortion of the horse's body in this false collection.
Yeah. Okay. Did you have the German word is lumbago, this a stiff back, and did you have this once?
Oh
A
yes,
stiff back. This you cannot move anymore. You hardly can breathe.
yes,
You know this?
yes.
So if you had this and you have to run 100 meters or maybe 5 kilometers, I don't know, or you have to do gymnastics with a stiff back, they force you to do this, you harm your bones.
Yes.
If you sit on a tribune in an arena and you cannot see horses, you just can hear them. And you hear a horse, a leg moving horse in a medium trot. You hear this bum, 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 hard steps. And if you hear a horse in balance, it's as if a cat is moving by.
Yes.
Yeah. If you see a show jumper, a leg mover, jumping without back, as we call a leg mover, they land as if a stone falls from the sky. Boom! Suspensory, shoulder. Everything is very much, how must I say, challenged. If a balanced horse lands like a cat, soft, like a spring. So classical riding is animal welfare. Yeah.
That's an interesting way to put it. Yeah. And it makes perfect sense. Animal welfare. Yeah.
Yeah. You feel good. You are soft. Ballroom dancing with a good dancer, both dancers harmonious, swinging together is fun. And there's no harm to your body. And if one is horribly stiff and you stepping on your feet all the time and completely stiff, the other guy is stiff too because it's affecting the other partner. It's no fun in ballroom dancing. And if you have to do it, you harm your body.
Yeah. Yeah. So the body pays the price for the poor riding.
Yeah. Stiff muscles, they create a high tone in the joints. They make the skeleton rigid, and you create sesamoid bone problems, suspensory problems. You get arthritis in the cervical spine. C4, C5, C5, C6, C6, C7. Many sport horses have those bumps on the facet joints. You can feel it when you palpate the spine. The kissing spines get pathological. You could have a horse with narrow spinous processes, but no problems. And as soon as the muscles around contract, they get activated and you run into problems. So we have many horses who have X-ray findings in the back and have no problems if they are trained correctly. And if they're not trained correctly, it's a problem. So everywhere. We veterinarians live from bad riding.
Oh yeah.
A very high percentage.
Sure. Absolutely.
This is why I say we should not just treat, we should also think a little bit about the training and open our mouth.
Yes. And that's where your passion has gone to, is the promotion of the better riding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And therefore we need guys like you who bring it out in the world, and you're doing good work, and and you help other guys to spread the word. It's very helpful.
Yes. Well, thank you for that. Thank you very much. I feel like we could go on for.
Excuse me. You have to say it again. I think my wife is coming home.
Okay. I was saying, I feel like there's several more topics that we can touch on. I want to be respectful of your time. I know it's late in the evening for you, or later in the evening. I would love to talk about kind of the rider's role in the correct work and how we correct the incorrectness and how we prevent these things in the first place. But I feel like that could take us on another couple-hour journey.
This is true. What we can in our Corona time, we can do this. We can do it every week if you want. Yeah.
There we go.
I will have how do you call it? a webinar in 3 or 4 parts
Okay. Yeah.
very soon now in America in
Mhm.
English. Sandy is doing this for me. Yeah, but
And that's coming up in the
let's
next couple of
focus.
weeks, right?
Pardon?
Those webinars that you have, it's a 3-part series, and those are coming up in the next couple of
Yes,
weeks.
I will put my presentation so that people have the slides
Okay.
and see a little bit more, and then we can we do what we did here with the slides and
Okay.
and a little bit more material in the background. But
Okay.
and I don't know when we start, but quite soon, in 10 days or something.
Okay.
Let me focus to the rider just in a few words,
Perfect.
because you have the really the good questions. You always hit the point. It's finally yeah, you know it. Finally, it's the rider. It is the rider, nobody else than the rider. And the rider, the seat, I always say, the seat is something, I don't know how to start it. It takes years and years and years. A good seat, as soon as you are emotional, in any way, emotional, sad, angry, aggressive, tired, you better stay away from your horse.
Ah,
You are a bad rider.
you'll be ineffective at the least.
People who know my presentation know this sentence or this description. I say, please imagine you ride in a beautiful day, May, sun is shining, leaves are coming out. It's a morning, Sunday morning. Everybody had party last night. They are still sleeping. You are the first in the barn. You are alone. The birds are singing. A beautiful day. Your horse is great. Everything is perfect. So suddenly somebody shows up at the fence and leans at the fence and starts to watch you, who makes your blood freeze.
Oh.
Most of our clients are ladies. So let's say George Clooney shows up to watch you, or somebody you are afraid of, or somebody you are in love with, or somebody you hate. In the next second, your riding is done.
Yeah.
Because your mental suppleness has gone away. Your focus is this person. Your horse is number 2, number 3, number 10. You have to look good in this moment, or you are angry. You're done. So classical riding, and I come back to Steinbrecht again. You have to carry benevolent coziness inside you. You have to be a strong, friendly, open, nice person, stable, self-confident, but not an arrogant asshole. A nice, friendly guy. And the younger the horse is, the more sensitive the horses you ride, the more forgiving, the more sensitive you have to be, and you have to be too strong enough to take bad outcome. Many times we finish riding and we say, oh, it was not so good. And uneducated people with a bad insight, or too young, blame it to the horse and become rough and punish and crank and push. And a good rider gives the reins, pats his horse, walks a little bit, and then it's done. And tomorrow is another day. So it's a long path. Learning to ride is a lifelong process.
Yes.
Yeah.
Certainly. Well, we will definitely chat about more of this. I will take you up on that offer. We will chat, I think, many more times if we can.
Yes, we can do so. We can get a new appointment next week or whatever you want. I have interesting chapters about the pull, the contact, then maybe we can put some videos up, then I can show you some rein lame horses
That
who
would be
became
fantastic.
lame because of wrong training, and you put them in balance and the lameness has gone like magic,
Uh,
like this, yeah.
yes,
So
yeah.
this term rein lameness, the veterinarians x-ray, scan, block, do this, find nothing, and you put the horse in balance, the horse is sound.
Yes.
So a high percentage of horses, lame horses, are not lame in the classical sense of suspensory and coffin joint, and yeah, and so there's a lot
Yeah, that could be
to talk
fantastic.
about.
Yeah, yeah, that's fantastic. Great.
Yeah.
Well, let's go with some closing questions,
Yeah.
and we'll wrap us up. And then, yeah, I definitely want to chat with you about getting some new interviews, some more interviews on the books here. This would be great. And I love your idea about sharing the photos and videos. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And luckily, Zoom lets us do that. So that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Well, our webinar will be on Zoom.
Okay, great. Good.
Yeah.
Very good. So, what would you say as one actionable tip or thought for riders that they can work on or ponder today?
Don't think about any lower or higher level exercises as long as your horse is not a forward, straight, happy athlete with a comfortable trot to sit. So if you don't have the basis, if you don't have a rhythmic, supple horse in a good contact, don't train a horse into half pass and exercises. Don't train your horse following the exercise book. Train your horse following the classical system. And yeah, there's a saying from the HTV12. Maybe this is my closing sentence. Any further training without suppleness is without any meaning.
Ah, boy, I like that.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
Any forward training without suppleness doesn't make sense.
that's perfect. That's perfect. Oh my gosh. That's awesome. I love that. So next question. What's a recent book that you've read or video that you've watched?
What I read at the moment?
Yeah.
At the moment, I read a cool crime story.
Oh, fantastic.
No, I'm surrounded by good horse books all the time. So I'm a lucky guy. It was really expensive. I was thinking a little bit, but I bought it. I got the offer of an original book from 1856, Mr. Krane. He's one of the old masters of the 19th century. I did not have his book yet. I found it last week and I just started. So this is what it inspires me a lot. It's a cool guy. And he is a big name in this 19th century world, at least locally here in Germany. And I'm just finding out what he thinks and feels. I enjoy his book at the moment. The book is 150 years old. It's an original old book.
Wow.
It's really cool.
That's fantastic. How cool.
But they took $400, so I'm
Oh, it better be good, huh?
I have it.
That's great. Next here, what is something that the horse has given to you?
Well, my life. They made my life. Yeah, I think the happiest days and hours in my life were from horses, and the most frustrated days also.
Yeah.
When I was close to give up and tell myself, I don't learn it anyhow, so give up on it. Take your motorbike. But then sleep 2 days, have a good glass of wine, read 10 pages Steinbrecht, and then go again.
And back at it. Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. Good. So this is we've mentioned this in several different ways, but this is a constant journey of discovery and improvement. What area of your horsemanship or your self-development are you currently working on or wanting to improve?
Well, as I grow older, you become a little, some of us, and I'm one of them, you're a little bit heavier. And my concern is to find out what horse. Number one, my first goal always is when I sit on a horse I didn't ride before, because I am 180 pounds, something around this, be as soft as possible. And is there a certain back construction, size of horse, type of horse I cannot ride? Sometimes I have a little horse at the moment. I work sometimes. Sometimes I think I'm on the edge. I have days I have the feel it's perfect, and there are other days I think maybe I shouldn't ride her too many times. I have so this is what I try to find out at the moment. In the overall, I have to say better heavy and soft than tiny and stiff, but there is a certain weight, even if it is soft, a horse has trouble with. And you have to, you as a rider, you have to get the instinct, the feel for this.
Yeah.
And I try to teach myself at the moment to find this more clear.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you had a giant billboard advertisement for the whole world to see it, what would be the message that you'd put on there?
The message is, if you are a good rider, you're a good person. And if you're a good person, you have the chance to learn to ride. So work on your personality, become a better person. If you're a friendly person, forgiving, good guy, you will be a good rider one day. And it's and if you love your horse, and if you really love it, you also love your dog, and you love your wife, and you love your friend, and so the wiser you are, the more you love other people. Even they don't agree with you, you become more forgiving. I think it's also a little bit a question of age. Yeah. When I was young, I was not like this, and I was not a really nice rider. I looked much better than now. I was a slim, tall guy. It looked quite good, but I was not good. I think my horses didn't love me. But now I'm a bigger guy and older. They love me more. It's the whole thing is about the inside. Steinbeck says it's a question of character. Learning to ride is becoming a good person, and this I think is the most important message.
I love that. Final question on here, Gerd. How can folks find you if they want to find more information, and specifically if they want to find information about these webinars that you've got coming up, this series? How can they find?
They in America, my contact is Sandy Collins on Facebook. They can go to my American Facebook side, and Sandy is working with this side, so they get her. She knows where I am, what I do. If they want to be on these webinars, they can contact Sandy Collins. And if they want to contact me, my email address is on my website, contact with the German K, contact at, and then gerdheuschmann.de. But it's on my website. Perfect. And so they just write me an email. But you have to be patient because I don't like to look into my email so much.
There's always things to do, right?
Yes, and I think even my mobile phone number is on my so they can write me a WhatsApp too. It's no problem.
Perfect. Well, thank you again, Gerd. I really appreciate your time, and I'm definitely gonna reach out to you. We're gonna see what we can do about scheduling some more of these chats. We've got a lot of listeners live here saying that they're pretty excited to hear this continue on. So
okay, yeah. So Corona attaches me to my chair here, so I'm at home anyhow. We can go on, no problem. Yeah. And I love to work with you. One day we have to meet. Maybe,
yeah, exactly.
Maybe if I'm allowed to travel in October, maybe we can meet in October. I would love to.
That would be fantastic. Yeah, we'll find a way to make it work for sure.
Yes. Otherwise, you come to Germany.
There we go. Yeah, well, when I'm over in Portugal and Spain, I'm much closer to you than
Yes,
I am when
this would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
You fly into Frankfurt, I pick you up, spend a few days, and then you go to Portugal.
Perfect. Yeah, that sounds like a plan to me. We're going to make that happen too.
Okay.
So, fantastic. I'm going to do a closing here, Gerd. Hang on with me for a couple minutes and I'll be right back with you. All right, gang, I want to thank you so much for tuning in for episode number 49 of Talking About Horses. I really appreciate you giving Dr. Heuschmann and I your ear for this time. Please remember that if you've missed any of it, you can access this full broadcast through Facebook, eventually also through YouTube, iTunes, or by streaming directly from my website by accessing the Talking About Horses page from the Education drop-down menu. But give me a little bit of time on that. I'm kind of swamped at the moment. Through whatever platform you're listening, please be sure to give us a rating, a comment, a review, and a share with your friends. And be sure to tune in next week, gang. I've got another stellar lineup for the week, and we're going to be getting some more episodes on here with Dr. Heuschmann as well. So please be sure to keep checking back. Thanks so much, gang.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Talking About Horses with Patrick King. If you enjoyed today's show, please leave a review and subscribe. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit pkhorsemanship.com. We'll catch you next time.